Welcome back. It's been a long time. I hope everybody had fun during their summer. We're now back with new episodes of Kicking It with Kenya. And we are going to start off with the most controversial casting. Now, and for those of you who don't know, Marvel has launched their plans for Phase 4. And one of the movies that they're bringing back is Blade. Anybody who knows me knows it's one of my favorite movies, so we're going to dive right into it. So, Lewis, how do you feel about the phase? Let's start with the Phase 4 announcement. How do you feel about it in general?
Yeah, it's not really that impressive of a slate to me, to be honest.
Wow.
Following when you're following Endgame, man, like I think you what's gonna get you more hype? You know what I'm saying? Like,
but why is it impressive?
Because you're coming off of the culmination of 11 years of buildup. You're coming off of the culmination of 22 films and leading up to everything, and just the atmosphere of Endgame. You know, I saw it in theaters a couple times, and just that last when you reach that last hour, and just the energy that was there, it was like a live show. You know what I'm saying? So then you go from that to we're doing Eternals. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So we're doing Shang-Chi. You know what I mean? Like it's just like
But they still got some of the people from Phase 1 through 3 lingering. Like you got Thor with Guardians,
and then at the end, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Endgame by now. Then you don't have Tony Stark no more. You don't have Captain America no more. You killed off two of the characters that, let's be honest, most of us gave a shit about. Falcon and nobody give a shit about Falcon as Captain America. No, nobody cares about that. Nobody asked for that. You know what I mean? That's why they're making it a show, because ain't nobody going to see a Falcon movie.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, let's be serious.
But wait, are we not going to see a Falcon movie because it's Anthony Mackie, or because we just genuinely don't care about
We're not going to see a Falcon movie because don't nobody give a shit about the character Falcon. Falcon is a B-list sidekick. It's like doing a Robin movie. And honestly, a Robin movie would be better off than a Falcon movie.
It would be, depending on what Robin you use.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But Falcon is someone that no disrespect to Anthony Mackie. What Anthony Mackie movie has got you hyped?
Papa Doc.
Come on now. Come on. Let's just be serious. Nobody cares about Falcon. That's not going to be a movie that you're going to invest $100 million in to put out. You know what I'm saying? That's why you have to do a TV show with Falcon and add Winter Soldier in there for make us give a shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just certain characters that are just sidekicks. It'd be like doing a Iron Patriot movie or a War Machine movie. Like, nobody care. Nobody care about War Machine.
I am kind of looking forward to like Doctor Strange, because that's one of my favorites, even though it was like one of those that people don't talk about in the Marvel. I love Doctor Strange. Black Widow, but the movie I was looking forward to from all the rumors that was circulating for the past 2 years?
Yeah.
Was Blade.
Mm-hmm.
And most of all, I was even more excited about Blade when the rumors were saying that Wesley was going to get casted. But that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, they cast, I can never say his name right first, Mahershala Ali.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that woman? I'm not going to talk yet.
All right. When it went down, I posted a status where I'm like, oh, I'm disappointed. And then I have people like, oh, why are you disappointed? Oh, he's a good actor, blah, 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 blah. I don't hate the casting. I'm not mad at him getting the role. It's more so my personal favoritism about being mad about who didn't get the role.
Right.
Because I'm a fan of Wesley Snipes. He's one of my favorite actors. And it's been rumored that he was going to come back to do the part. And I feel like I wanted to see him do it in a world where the superhero genre is as big as it is. Right. And the budget would be where it needs to be to really showcase a dope Blade. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that we didn't get that with the first two Blades, because I feel like with the budget they were working with, they did a good job with everything. But with the capabilities that we have now, and with the budgets that superhero movies get now, and with the Marvel brand, let's be real, any movie Marvel drops is doing $500 million minimum.
Easy.
You know what I'm saying? So just with the MCU brand attached to it. So I feel like this is the perfect time where it would be something really special. And I feel like if you were gonna recast, I understand it's a reboot, and if you're gonna not make the other Blades canon and you're gonna try to introduce Blade into the MCU, it would make sense to go with a new actor. And I feel like if you were gonna go younger, you should have went like the dude from the Purge. I forgot.
Yeah, I was thinking about him
from
too.
the Purge from the last Purge movie. I thought he would have been a great Blade. He pulled off action great. He has a good look. He's 30. He's like 30. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like with Mahershala Ali,
he's not that young.
Well, I mean, he's pushing 50, but I feel like he has a good presence. Like seeing him in Alita Battle Angel or certain movies, he has good presence, on-screen presence, and we know he can act. I've never seen him do action, so I don't know how he can do that. But I'm interested to see like where they're gonna go with it. Like if they're gonna make it more character based, is it gonna be more action based? Is it gonna be PG-13?
See, and that's the issue I have with that, because with Blade, you have to make that rated R for me, because like the way those other first two that we care about, because nobody really cares about 3, the way the first 2 was set up, like you have to kind of make that rated R to really go to the effect. We're talking about vampires and bloodsuckers and a lot of gore. Like for you to make that PG, and then the way in which the language was back then, you can't really. I'm not gonna say can't, because they are doing it with Daredevil. No, Daredevil was rated R. Never mind, it was rated R, but. Yeah, you gotta kind of make that rated R in order for it to have the same effect that it once had.
Well, if Blade's gonna be in the MCU, it's not gonna be rated R. Marvel doesn't do rated R movies.
Why not?
Disney Marvel's not doing rated R movies because, for one, if you do a rated R, if you do Blade rated R, it's gonna cut into a lot of the audience which would see it.
Wait, it wasn't Daredevil, it was Deadpool.
Deadpool was Fox. You know what I'm saying? So Marvel property, but it was Fox Studios that put that movie out. Deadpool's another one of how is the MCU going to introduce Deadpool. But because Deadpool breaks the fourth wall, you can literally have a running joke of Deadpool saying like, holy shit balls, and it's bleeped out, and holy balls, what the, you know what I'm saying? And he looks at the camera like, oh, we're PG-13 now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can do Deadpool in a way like that. But with Blade, because he deals with vampire, that's another thing. If you make Blade canon in the MCU, now you're basically saying that vampires exist within the MCU, though we've never seen any hints of that.
But maybe that's why they're doing the multiverse.
Well, they have to, because if you're going to introduce X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Blade, you have to kind of use the multiverse as a cheap way to do that. But if you're going to keep Blade in the MCU, having him interact with the Avengers and everything like that, then he would have to be PG-13. And the only way you would be able to do a PG-13 Blade is just removing the gore and removing the swearing.
So then what are we doing why are we doing Blade? Because like the point...
If you make Blade more character-based, which has been rumored, more delving into who Blade... Because we never got a backstory on Blade. We know his mom was bitten. He hunts vampires. He was a very guarded character. No, I mean, like,
they gave us a little snippet. Like, remember, like, his mother died and then Whistler found him chewing on rabbits and stuff to survive.
His mother died. He's infected. He's half we know the basics of who.
Oh, we just don't got the
of who he is in terms of his abilities. He's half immortal. He's half human because his mom was bitten. That's why he hunts vampires. But him as a character, because in Blade 1 he found a vampire that bit his mother. So then you if you do a more character based story on Blade, then you can delve into what makes Blade tick, what certain things about him. Because remember, this is gonna be, and this is my problem with remakes, and I'm trying to get better at it. Not comparing it to the original. This is going to be a different take on Blade. We can't expect Mahershala to be Snipes.
No.
Because Snipes, if we're being technical, Snipes is not the original incarnation of what Blade actually was in the comics. Snipes made Blade his own.
Right.
He popularized Blade, so we in turn look at Snipes' portrayal as how Blade is. That's not the original take on how Eric Brooks was in the comics. Even the Daywalker character was once white. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we have to look at Mahershala Ali's performance as in its own thing and look at it as a fresh take on this character and see what he's going to bring to it, which I'm willing to do because I want to see how they're going to do it. I'm very interested to see when the trailer drops. I'm interested to see where it's going to go. You know what I mean? And so I think that it can be successful. I think that it will be successful, but I think it can work. It can work if he doesn't try to be what we know
Which is
Wesley to be.
Wesley.
Because what makes when you redo a character, it's like when Ledger got cast as Joker, and you have people that saying he'll never be able to
But
top
he did his
what
own
Nicholson
thing.
did. And to some people, he did top Nicholson. Some people may prefer Nicholson, but both takes on the Joker stand on their own as great in its own way. Whichever one you prefer is your opinion, but they both stand on their own as great takes of this character. Same thing, in my opinion, with Bill Skarsgård's portrayal of Pennywise and Tim Curry's portrayal of Pennywise. They're different. You know what I mean? Skarsgård wasn't trying to be Curry. He made it his own. So I think that's what Mahershala Ali is going to do. And I think that if he pulls it off, then we'll be able to say he did his thing. You know what I mean? And we'll be able to it'll stand on its own as its own performance.
See, but the thing, so you touched on like three things. So one, you're like the multiverse route. And the thing with that is, it sounds like a good cheat. You said a good cheat way in, but it also could be messy if it's not done right. When you start asking about different timeline questions and blah, 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 and all things. Because I know some people pointed out flaws within Endgame with all of the stones and stuff like that.
Anytime you deal with time travel, it's messy.
Right.
And dealing with a multiverse, the MCU's messy, period. Anything that has supposed to have time continuity throughout a bunch of films that are done by different directors, it's going to be messy.
Right.
Because there is going to be certain continuity flaws you can pick out in anything. I don't have a problem with that. With the multiverse, it's just, it creates a way to introduce these characters in a way that it can be canon, but it doesn't have to tie in with what we've already seen, right, because it's its own universe. That's the same thing with the X-Men. That's the biggest problem they were going to have with the X-Men, because the X-Men had their own universe. So how do you integrate them with the Avengers universe without it being too messy? It's going to be the multiverse.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just that Blade as a character is so grounded. You know what I'm saying? Blade hunts vampires, and you know what I mean? So you can tie Blade in with Spider-Man. Blade and Spider-Man have teamed up in cartoons and things like that. They both chase, and you have, I think it's Fox, I don't know what studio it is, but you have them doing a Morbius movie. Morbius the Living Vampire, who's one of Blade's, someone that Blade interacts with. I don't know if they tie him in there. I think the first time we see Blade will probably be maybe a post-credit scene for Doctor Strange too.
That would be interesting.
But I'm very interested to see the route they're going to go with Blade, because Blade also has not always been known for being a martial arts expert in the comics. That's something Wesley brought to it as well. You know, not every version of Blade is a martial arts expert. You know, I think that adds to right, Blade being able to fight.
But yeah, like that's the thing though, because like when you was talking about the second point, that when you was talking about the different takes, or if it's going to be more character driven. See, what I don't want is another, and I get there, two totally different like comics. But I don't need another Batman 1 with Blade. Because, like, I don't need a drawn-out story either. The whole point of Blade is, like, at this point in the MCU, if we're not starting off hard, I don't want to see no epic, long origin story about, I get he can act, but I also want to see some action. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see, a whole storyline about, Eric as a baby, then the boy, then growing up, and I don't need to see that. I just need to see Blade get to work, because that's what I was used to in Blade 1. The first minute of Blade 1, Wesley got busy. That's it. And then we got into the little touching points. Like, his background story really wasn't the catalyst of that film. It was really just what he's doing now and how that may have catapulted him forward. But I just don't need another Batman 1 where it was drawn out and boring and him learning and learning.
See, what made Batman Begins work for fans of that movie, it was a take that we had not seen of Batman up to that point.
It's still boring.
But here's what I'm saying. But it's boring to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be boring to me, but there are fans of that film. You know what I mean? Like, I have my opinions about the whole Dark Knight trilogy, as you know. But they're obviously, we see they're fans of that film. And that's fine. You can like what you like. You know what I mean? But I feel like if you're going to do a Blade and you want it to stand out on its own, that may be the route they'd have to go. Because if they do the same type of thing where you introduce him just kicking ass, it's going to be easier to compare. But if you do a more character-based Blade and you tell it in a way where he can kind of get some depth that we didn't see from the old Blades, it adds something new to that character. And for me, that's where I feel like you play to an actor's strengths. What I don't like is the people that say, because even when I posted it, you have people saying, "Oh, well, Wesley's 57. He's
I
pushing
hate that
60.
argument.
He's gonna be too old." And my debate to that is, you have to look at everyone different. There are different types of 50, 60-year-old
and
people.
Wesley could still do it.
You have people like Sylvester Stallone, who's 70 doing Rambo. Samuel L. Jackson, who's in the MCU, who's pushing 80, still looking like he's 50. You know what I'm saying? You have people like Harrison Ford, who's pushing 80, doing another Indiana Jones. Wesley Snipes still looks the same, pretty much.
And he was just in the movie. Was he? Yeah, he was just in the show, like what, 2 years ago?
And he's, for people that pay attention, as far as pulling off action, he's still capable of pulling off these fight scenes, because he's still in that level of shape, and he's still and he's still able to pull that off on screen. So his age, to me, is not a deterrent. Now, as far as, you know, the rumored issues that he had on Blade Trinity or whatever, that's neither here nor there. I wasn't on the set. I can't speak to that, but there's plenty of I mean, Robert Downey Jr. had a troubled past before he was cast as Iron Man. His career was in the crapper, probably worse than even Wesley's. He was doing interviews in the gutter, for real.
And that's the thing I hate too, when people's like, when's the last time you seen Wesley? When's the last time you seen Wesley in a big film? I'm like, but we're going to forget. That's the thing I have with people when it come down to like black actors. We can't never be on a hiatus without people wanting to down our whole past career. But when you said Robert Downey Jr., we forgot where he was before Iron Man 1. We forgot this?
Well, to that I say, if you say, when's the last time you seen Wesley Snipes in a big film, like a major action film, I would say, when's the time you seen Chris Hemsworth in a major action film before Thor? When have you... Downey, obviously, we know his...
We know where he was.
And I've never seen Mahershala Ali in a big action film.
No,
before.
exactly.
So, at the end of the day, I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm interested to see where he's going to take it. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like I'm not going to discredit somebody else, even if they fall on hard times or whatever. Wesley Snipes is a proven action star. People could use the whole Oscars of, oh, this person won an Oscar, and that's cool. That's for one role.
And what does that have to do with
Monique
action?
won an Oscar for one role. Does that make her a better actress than a lot of actresses that never did?
Does it make her a better actress than Angela Bassett?
That's what I'm saying.
No.
Jamie Foxx won an Oscar for one role, and you can argue he's never been as good in any other movie as he was in that one role.
Yeah.
Everything else he's been pretty basic. Right. To be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? George Clooney's a 2-time Oscar winner. He was still shit as a superhero in Batman.
Like even
Brie Larson's an Oscar winner.
I was just about to bring that up.
Is she a better action star than Scarlett Johansson? Fuck no.
No.
She's not as convincing as Johansson. She's not as convincing as Charlize Theron.
And that's the argument I have with people when it comes down to the casting. Oh, well, he's going to be a better actor because he's a 2-time Academy. That doesn't mean that you could pull off a superhero. That's a different type of acting. And I feel like people don't understand the level it takes to pull that off, because it's not mostly about your acting skills. It's your presence. It's about how in which you carry yourself throughout the movie. Your superhero pose has to be believable. It's like your emotions, your eyebrows, your looks, your charm, your wit, whatever your character is, you have to personify that. Most of the acting in superhero movies are more like non-verbal than they are verbal. So yeah, he could probably act out a good script, but that doesn't mean that when he is standing there still, I could believe this man is going to be Blade. But hey, we don't know yet. But that's what I'm saying. Like, for you guys to say, oh yeah, because Wesley already shown us he could do that. And the only reason why I was mad it wasn't Wesley is because you would think they want to bring it full circle, because if it wasn't for Blade, we wouldn't be where we are now with the MCU.
But you see, now here's where you can get into some things that, in my opinion, would be cool. Like, if you're going to do the origin of Blade similar to how you did it, where you give Blade a Whistler type character, you can have someone like Wesley be that, like that.
But that won't work. You want to know why that won't work? Because you're a better action star than the guy who's playing the main role.
Well, but like, then here's what you do. You don't necessarily... I mean, Whistler had action scenes in Blade 1, sure. But if you're gonna have like a Wesley be a Whistler character, first of all, you'd have to age him up, because he's only like 10 years older than Mahershala Ali, but he doesn't look that.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to age him up. And that's another thing. Even if you're worried about the face, he looks older. Nigga, we've seen Marvel de-age characters in so many movies. Samuel L. Jackson was just made to look like he was 40 in Captain Marvel. Like we know they have the technology to de-age you in movies. That's no problem. But anyway, you I think it would be dope if Wesley was able to play like a villain role in that movie. I think that would be dope.
But I feel like Wesley can't be in that movie.
Well, I mean, it depends. If you're looking...
If he's not the star, it's not going to work for him. That's what it is. Like, I would love to... I see what you're talking... I would love that, but at the same time, it's like, knowing the original Blade is in the same movie as Mahershala Ali... All I'm gonna think about is, homie, why didn't you just go and play Blade?
Well, it's just a cool homage.
Yeah.
Like you had Lou Ferrigno in the Hulk, you know what I'm saying, and Ang Lee's Hulk. You know, it's just. But
did you see that quality of Hulk?
It's a well. I mean that's a big thing. But it's just a cool homage moment to have. You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to go that route, I think that from that perspective, though, Marvel is just someone that likes to jump the gun on who's hot. Like Brie Larson got the role of Captain Marvel. She got the role because she had just came off that Oscar at the time they announced it. That doesn't necessarily mean she was better fit for it than Emily Blunt, Charlize Theron.
And I would have loved to see how Emily Blunt would have did that.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Just because that's why I say I don't like the Oscar argument. Just because you won an Oscar doesn't mean you're a better fit for a specific role. You know what I mean? Jamie Foxx is an Oscar winner, right? He's playing Spawn. I don't think he's a better fit for Spawn than Jai White was.
And what was he? He wasn't
Electro.
He wasn't a good Electro either.
He was corny in that.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I said, with Mahershala Ali, I'm intrigued because I feel like what his strengths are can play good into Blade depending on how they go about it. It's going to depend on who's going to direct it, who's going to write it, who's going to produce it. All of that's going to come into play. As far as Mahershala's, the performance... I feel like he can deliver a performance that'll be all his own. That'll be something we can look at in like how we debate over Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man's. Who do you like better? And I feel he can make the character his own and bring his own flavor to it in a way that will work. So I'm excited to see what he's going to bring to it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm from him. That's why I said when I posted the status I posted, it had nothing to do with him.
And that's what I'm gonna say. Everybody make it seem like when you had your opinion that means that you don't like him as an actor. Mm-hmm. When in reality, nobody's talking about him. My only concern would be the action, because what I don't want is to see a bunch of like cut action scenes. Or you can always tell when like whoever they cast as his villain, if he's an actual trained fighter. And God forbid, like, you know, like, that person had to slow down their moves for that person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like that. At least with Wesley, it was more believable in those scenes. Because it's like, I know, like, he actually could give those people the fake business. So this fight scene could be immersed. But, like, depending on who the casting is, will be what will probably make me more concerned with how the action go.
Well, then we also got to see how much of a physical actor Mahershala Ali can be.
Yeah.
Because
I've never seen it.
That also is going to play into the part of how much of the actual stunt work he'd be willing to do, how much of the actual fight scenes he'd be able to pull off, because there are certain actors that aren't trained martial artists, but they can still pull off action. Like, I think Chris Evans did a very good job with Captain America. Now, it's easier to hide a stuntman in a mask. Captain America wears a mask.
But then you see what happened with Brie Larson. Like, you was able to see her stunt double within the movie.
That's because I'm not everybody. I can.
But there are people who has pointed it out past, like, when me and you talked about it. But you can see that. Like, and this is a Marvel budget. That should never have happened, but you can see that.
But you see, it's just because of how you shoot the fight scenes. When you shoot the fight scenes, like when they shot Captain Marvel from the back, and you can tell, like, her body frame was bigger than Brie Larson's. And you're shooting it that way because it's not Brie Larson doing the fighting. But Captain Marvel, like when they said Captain Marvel did her own stunts in Endgame, her stunts are power-based moves. Because so she's flying, like she's really on the string flying against a green screen, but she's powered. So she's not like karate fighting. Blade is more grounded, and he doesn't wear a mask. No. So it's harder to hide a stuntman if you're doing that.
And that's when the cut crap happens. And
but you can still do it in a way, like they did it in the Bourne series. There's a lot of cut scenes in the Bourne series, even though Matt Damon did a lot of the fights. And I feel like they shot it in a way where you didn't have to do that. Mile 22 did the same thing. You got Iko Uwais. Why are you cutting this fight scene up? What are you doing? Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if you're going to do that, I just feel like there's a certain style in which you can get away with.
I just don't want another Colombiana.
That Colombiana was that just gave me a headache.
It gave me a headache. I don't want another Colombiana where it's like chopped up fight scenes and stuff like that. And before you know, it's like takes me out the element of the movie. Mm. Like at least with Wesley before he was cast as Blade, he had martial art movies underneath his belt where you knew that he could hold. At the very least, you knew this man was going to deliver a good fight scene. But that's really what it is with superhero movies is the action and hoping that maybe. It's great. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing him as Blade because, like you said, you had some good points. I am interested to see the way he takes it, and I'm also interested to see how and when they're going to tie it into MCU. A post-credit in Doctor Strange is not one I would have thought of. For some reason, I would think they would do it more in Spider-Man because they worked together in the past. So I'm interested to see what that post-credit is. But you tell us what you think about what we discussed. Please comment. We love seeing comments. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friend, mother, sister, auntie, daughter, whatever. Let us know what you think. Peace.